Daf Tzadi Ches Amud Beis, right at the top. Continuing with the discussion about the Mishkan and the Kroshim of the Mishkan. Ton Rabbanan Kroshim Milmatan Ajun Ama Milmala Kalam V'Hoilchem Ad Etzba. The width of the Kroshim, we know they were an Ama. But one Mandomer says the thickness at the base was an Ama. But then it narrowed, and as it went up, it became narrower. It was wide at the bottom, but then as it went up, it got narrower and narrower until at the top, it was only the thickness of an etzba. Shenemar yusamim al roisha. It says that the top of them were samim. And it says, Ulhanu loimer, and it says in the pasuk Tamu nichrasa. And it says by the Kriyas Yarden, it says Tamu nechrasu, they were cut off. So you see that the lashon of Tamim, that Tamu means that it is cut off. So that means it's tapered. As it goes to the top, it gets narrower and narrower. It's wider on the base, but as it goes up, it gets narrower and narrower. That's what the one Mandomer holds. That's the Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Nechemia, no, Kishem Shalamata Novi Mama, Ken Milmala, Ama. He says, no, it was the same thickness, the top and the bottom. Shenemar Yachtav. It says Yachtav. That means together. That means that there were no difference between the top and the bottom. It had the same thickness. Vaksiv Tamim. What does he do with the pasuk that says Tamim, which is Rabbi Yehuda's Raya? That means that the boards, the kroshim, should come from whole logs of wood. It shouldn't become together from different pieces put together. It should be one plank, one solid plank of wood that you use for each kerish. It shouldn't be made out of different pieces, different fragments that are stuck together. That's how he learns it. According to Rabbi Yehuda, it says, what does he do with Rabbi Nechemiah's raya that it says Yachtav? He learns that to mean that they should not be in and out, that they should be uniform. They should be in a uniform line, not one in and one out. According to the Mandomer, it says the thickness was the same at the top, bottom, and the top. It was uniform. So we can understand the pasuk Hainu Sivli Yartzei Mishkan Yama. It says on the western end of the Mishkan, Tasa Shisha Kroshim, you make 6 Kroshim. Ushnei Kroshim Tasam Luksois. And you should make 2 boards for the corners. Why do you need 2 boards for the corners? Because the Asya Pusya Dahanim Emala Lesumcha Dahanim. Because the width of the 2 corner boards will fill up the thickness of the other boards, the boards that are running along the sides, the vertical and the horizontal sides. So for instance, as we have over here. So if we have the kroshim, you have the boards coming along one end, and you have the vertical and you have the horizontal. So therefore, you have the thickness of the boards. They're an amma. You'll have the corners that have to be filled in. If you want to make this flush, then since you have the thickness of the boards, you have to fill it in. You need another one. You need another one, which is also the thickness of the amma, which can be inserted and fill up the corners, so therefore you have it, and now it's flush. So we understand how that's needed and where it's needed. However, according to the Mandomar, but according to the Mandomar, that says at the base, at the bottom, it's an amma thick, but then it narrows and narrows until at the top it's only thick. The thickness is only, it narrows, so it gets thinner and thinner as it goes up. And as it goes up, the width of it is only an etzba, so you're not going to have this thickness here. It'll come to here. And this one will also narrow. It narrows and narrows and it comes to here. So here you're going to have that space. But as we go higher and higher, you're not going to have that space. So as you go up, as it goes up, this space will reduce and be less and less as this comes less and less, and this comes less and less. And as you go up, this big space will suddenly become only this small space. Here it is an amma, but as you go higher and higher, the space becomes only a minimal space like that. So then how are you going to have it flush? So you high nafik, this one board will go in and this one goes out. More answer, the shafir like Keturah. The corner board was at the base was an amma wide, but as it got higher and higher, it got tapered, it got narrowed. So at the top, as this got narrower and narrower, and this space became less and less, and over here it was tapered so that it filled up this type of a space. It wasn't one uniform block, it got tapered. The corner board got tapered and tapered to fill in that small hole. So you find in the Gemara, and it said that there was the bars that supported the Mishkan. It said the middle bar was in the Kroshim Tana B'neis Haya Oimed. It was Oimed B'neis. So the way the Gemara's darshaning is not that the middle bar was went from one side to the other side, and then another bar from the other side to the other side. It was B'neis Haya Oimed. The middle bar that was used to support the kroshim was able to inserted the bar, and it was inserted through the middle, and the bar b'neis bent and came around the sides. So b'neis was a neis b'seich neis. It was b'neis hayoimet. It came and bent around the sides b'neis. It was b'neis hayoimet. Continuing on, Vesa Mishkan Tasa Eser Yeriya is the Mishkan was Eser Yeriya is Oyrech Yeriya Achat Shmeina V'Esr Bam. So the Mishkan was Eser Yeriya, made 10 curtains. The length of each curtain was 28 amas. That was the length. Shalde Orakayu Lapusi the Mishkan. So put the length of the curtains of the panels on the width of the Mishkan. So the Mishkan was 10 by 30. Kama have Eser V'Tam. So what was the width? With each one was 28. So it was Kama Eser V'Tam Dal Asara Le'igra. You have to take 10 of it for the roof of the Mishkan. The Mishkan was 10 by 30. Now this is not to scale, but when you take the 28 amas and you drape it over the Mishkan, 10 of the curtain had to cover the roof. So that means that you had 10, and you had 28, that means you had another 18, which means that 9 amas was draped over each side. Dalasar le'gra pashlu tishal ha'gisa v'tishal ha'gisa. L'Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Yehuda, migla ama da'adoni. Now, according to Rabbi Yehuda, so if it was 9 on each side, then that means is that the height of it was 10, like we said, at each karish, the height of it was 10, and 9 amas draped on each side, that means that there was an amma at the bottom that was exposed. So, Megillah amma da'adonim. The amma of the danim, that was what was exposed. But Mechemia, Megillah amma dekroshim. There was also another amma, because, like we said before, according to Rabbi Yehuda, the top of the karish was only etzba. The thickness of it was only an etzba, so it did not take up, you did not have on the roof and any thickness of the karish. It was only an etzba, but no significant thickness of the boards that it had to now drape over. But according to Rav Nechemia, the thickness of the boards on the side, you had the thickness of the boards on the side, which was an amma. So therefore, it had to now cover over the thickness of the amma board, so that ate up one more amma. So now when it came down to the side, it only came down eight ammas, because it was missing. You had to cover over that amma of the thickness of the board. So therefore, you had also exposed on the bottom, you had two ammas that were exposed, one amma for the Adonim and one for also of the boards. Shadi Pusayu l'Arka de Mishkan. So we place the width of the areas along the length of the Mishkan. Now each one was 4 ammas wide, but there were 10 of them. So there was a combined width of 40. And you put it on the length of the Mishkan. So the Mishkan was 30 ammas. And now you put this 40 ammas on the length of the Mishkan. So Kamahava Arboin, it was 40 ammas. Dal Talsen Le'igra. You subtract 30 for the roof. So the length of the roof is 30. So now you have an extra 10. Pashalu acid. 10 are remaining. Rav Yehuda, according to Rav Yehuda, who said that at the top, by the roof of the Mishkan, the thickness of the croshim were only an etzbah. So therefore, Rav Yehuda Mirsi Amad Adonim. So he had 10 ammas. It came over and draped over to the bottom, and it went all the way to the bottom, and it covered the Adonim. It covered the sockets. The Rav Nechemia, according to Rav Nechemia, however, says that you also had to account for the thickness of the boards. So therefore, it ate up one more amma. It had to extend one amma over, so it only came down 9. It only came down 9, not 10. According to Nechemia, the amma of the Adonim was exposed. Then continuing on top of that, you had the second level of covering. You made the curtains, the areas of the izim, of the goat hair, for the oil. The length of each one was 30 ammas. You place the length of it on the width of the Mishkan. So how much was the width? Klosen is 30. Dal Esr Le'igra, take off 10 for the roof. Pashalu Esr La'igisa, Esr La'igisa. So if it was a total of 30, and you put it on the width, if the width is 10, so this takes up 10. From 30 you're left with 20. 10 to this side, and 10 to that side. So according to Rav Yehuda, it came all the way to the bottom, and it covered the Adonim. It came all the way to the bottom. According to Nechemia, it had to account also for the thickness of the thickness of the kroshim. So therefore, it ate up another amma, and only 9 of it draped over. Only 9 draped over, and the Adonim were exposed. You had an extra amma on each side, and on each side, l'chasais as ha'adanim. So you had each one l'chasais as adam, l'chasais amma shal adanim div Rav Yehuda. So over here, like we said, according to Rav Yehuda, it came down. There was 10 on each side. There was an extra amma. The izim extended further down, an extra amma over the areas that were underneath it, and that covered the Adonim. That's what Rav Yehuda says. But according to Rabbi Nechemia, he said that the areas, the areas that were underneath the izim, they only came down 8. So what did it cover? It is an extra amma mizeh, and each side an extra amma, but that was to cover the chases amma shel kroshim, to cover the exposed Amma of the carriage, because according to Nehemiah, he said that the Yeriyah's Tachtainus only came down 8 on each side. There was an Amma of the Adanim exposed, there was an Amma of the Kroshim exposed. When it says now in the Izim it came down, Amma Mizeh is covering the Amma of the Keresh that was exposed, but it did not cover the Adanim. Now we pace the width, the total width on the length of the Mishkan, Kamahava, Arba. Here, each one had a width of 4, like the Tachtainus, but there were 11 of them, so there was a total combined width of 44. Dal Tasan Ligra, you have to now take off 10 for the Igra. So now the length of it is 30. You have a total of 44. 30 of it now covers the roof. You have another 14. Pashlahu Abasori, you have 14. Dal Tata Lekvela, you take off 2 of it for the fold that is on the Mizrach. Tachsiva Halta, the Yerei Shish is Al Mul Penei oil. 2 amas of it was on the Mizrach side. On the Mizrach side, you had 2 amas hanging down. The Mishkan went from east to west, from Mizrach to Marav. So 2 amas went to the Mizrach side. That was 2. And now you had 12 left. So we understand according to Rabbi Yehuda. So therefore, you had 12 amas, right? It came 2 amas to the east, 30 amas to the length. Then 12 amas came down. It went down straight to the ground, and another 2 amas that it now draped over the ground. So that's a chatzi. Each one is 4 wide. So therefore, it's just chatzi hayariya, half a yariya is 2, and that's tisrach, and that's drapes over the ground. We understand according to Rabbi Yehuda. But according to Rabbi Nehemiah, who holds that the thickness of the boards was an amma on the top also, so therefore you had 1 more amma that took away from the expanse of the Yeriyas Yizim, so you didn't have 12 amas coming down, you only had 11 amas coming down. So you didn't have 2 amas draping on the ground, there was only 1 amma. So what does it mean that you had a half a Yeriyah that was Tisrach? Why did you have a half an amma that was Tisrach, that was draping on the ground? According to Rabbi Yehuda, we understand that there was 2 amas, then 30, 12 amas, so 10 for the height, 2 on the ground. But according to Rabbi Nehemiah, you had to have an extra amma to pass over the thickness of the kroshim. There was only 1 amma draping on the ground. So what does it mean to say that there was half an amma that was tisrach? Tisrach means, he says, tisrach mechaverseh. It doesn't mean that it was draping on the ground. It just means that it extended, it was draping beyond the ones that were underneath. The first coverings were 2 amas shorter than these ones. So it means Tisra was draping on, was hanging on more 2 amas, not on the ground, but mechaverseh, beyond where under the first level of the Yeriyas covered. It covered 2 amas more than the first level of the Yeriyas. Tana the Birishmoa, Lama Mishkan Daime. What do you compare the Mishkan to? Leisha Shemalech Bashuk, to a woman who's traveling the street. And she travels with a long dress with a train, and it covers, and it goes down, and extends down, and drapes down beyond her. Here also, the Mishkan, the coverings were draping down, and it extended past, it trailed over and extended past.